Last month I was trying to sleep when an inconvenient thought popped into my head. It was one of those rare nagging thoughts, if you know what I'm talking about, the kind that you really want to dismiss. I tried to think of nothing, but I couldn't. I tried to think of other things, but I couldn't. I was absolutely powerless to this idea, this vision to be precise, this revelation that drove me from my bed at 3:38 a.m. on August the 11th to write this script. The message was simple, powerful, crystalline. But before I share it with you, let's get some context. Barack Obama and his jackboot army of socialist robots have pinned this nation's back to the wall. In the ancient book, The Art of War, there are several types of ground discussed, ground upon which battles can be fought. The very worst of them all is death ground. Yes, death ground is as bad as it sounds. Death ground is when our men have been surrounded with our backs to the wall, our backs to a mountain, or what have you. It's really bad. But there is a silver lining to fighting on death ground. Death ground inspires your men to fight more fiercely, to take risks more freely. Upon death ground, anything is possible. Upon death ground, Republicans could pick a candidate that would normally be deemed too conservative. Normally, he'd be out of the question. Jimmy Carter drove America's back to the wall in the 1970s, but because we came together and stood shoulder to shoulder on that death ground, we were able to select a candidate that was not one of the establishment types. We rejected Gerald Ford and embraced a dark horse candidate, a former actor no less, named Ronald Reagan, who went on to save not only our nation, but the rest of the world entirely. My fellow Americans, we stand with our backs to the mountains once again. And I knew that as I tossed and turned that fateful night of August the 11th, but I could not block out this revelation. All that I could see were two giant words that sparked and sputtered like a neon sign against the dark night. In luminous, towering letters, I read aloud in the softest voice, Ron Paul. Ladies and gentlemen, it is with a great deal of sincerity and earnest deliberation that I do hereby endorse Representative Ron Paul of the great state of Texas for the GOP nomination. Next week, I'll tell you why. On the record!